Hey everybody, this is the Classic Beverage Company Specialist team coming to you on this beautiful afternoon in April. And we had a special idea for you today, kind of riffing on what our favorite snacks are. And in that vein, we each picked a favorite snack and a different specialist paired a beverage with that snack. So we're not pairing with our own snack. So it kind of puts things a little off kilter, but also super fun because we get to pair for our friends. So
Yay!
thanks for tuning in, and we'll go for Brian's pairing first, and
Sweet.
I paired for him. Yeah.
Yeah. So my snacks were mostly too spicy for anyone to pair with. So I landed on hint of lime Tostitos. I also really like just regular tortilla chips with just lime juice and then tahini sprinkled on it. It's just so tasty. And Karen paired it with this wonderful Tasmanian sparkling. Is this Ayla?
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Hi, Ayla. Yeah, so it's the Jansch Jans.
I think just Jan's. I don't know. It's
Jans.
how's pairing? Tell us about it.
I thought it was pronounced. No. It's great. It's super great. It's a really bright sparkling wine. The texture is what I like, which is finer, smaller bubbles. You know, I really dig that like zero dosage, like traditional style. I don't know if this is traditional or if this is.
It is.
Oh, it is. Méthode Tasmanoise. That's great. But really forgiving in the fruit. It's also really bright. And of course like citrusy, not like lean citrusy, like really pretty rich, just because of the texture on it. And it's great. I think it's so tasty. It cleans up after itself. You know what I mean? When you have all the oil in the tortilla chips, is like you need something to like push the broom, you know?
Hell yeah. Well, that's what I was going for. So I'm really glad you like it. I kind of went back and forth with a few different options for this and ultimately landed on the Jants because I think anything with a snap crackle pop is really nice with bubbles. As Brian said, just kind of cleanses the palate, freshens things up, and makes everything really enjoyable and kind of leaves you salivating for more. So Jants is from Tasmania off the coast of South Australia. It is one of the, I guess, furthest away from the equator sparkling wine producing regions. So I was looking for that acid for sure to pair up with the citrus in Brian's lime chips. It is mostly Chardonnay with Pinot Noir. It's, I believe, 60-40 are the percentages. And a little bit of the base wine does see some thyme and oak. It is made in the traditional champagne method, so second fermentation in the bottle. So you kind of get like that, a little bit more of like a stylish, creamy wine. But because it is made in such a cool climate, you definitely get that zest and that freshness and just that unending acidity, which is nice with all snack foods, but particularly those with a little crunch. Like,
That's great.
hell yeah. All right, so I will just do mine next.
You eating?
So I've got some popcorn here. I've got a little truffle salt pop. This is my favorite little truffle salt. I use a little coconut oil and I pop it over the stove top. One of my favorite snacks, easy to make, very cheap. And Katrina has paired for me the Kamwazumi Shusen 3 Dots sake. Really, really excited to taste this, and I might just Katrina, if you don't mind kind of breaking down my temperature thing
Sure.
here, and then I'll
Yeah.
go through.
So you have one sake from Katrina and you have it free. That's kind of show the variation that this sake has and how different temperatures. So I'm really curious. I think it's going to work room temperature, but you're running the experiment. So you tell me what you think, cold, room, or warm. So for chilling it, that's super easy, right? You just put it in the fridge. You know, we actually deliver it cold, and it's refrigerated at our warehouse. Room temp, I imagine you just let that sit out for a little while and come to room temp. Warming, you just fill your hot water and put a little bit in. Pairing wise, the cooking and coconut I thought was going to give your popcorn a little sweetness, and then the truffle was going to give it like the richness and the umami. So I wanted to do, instead of like complementary pairing, I wanted to do a matchy pairing, because the shuten has a big rich body and it's definitely really mushroom and forest floor on the nose, which could match the truffle, but it also has a little bit of sweetness in the mouth. So I thought it was going to kind of play both sides. But you tell me how.
So awesome. Thank you. This is such a fun experiment. So this one here on your right, my left, is the cold. I've got the room temp in the middle, and then I've got a little dish here in which I'm kind of keeping the warm one slightly warmed. And I just kind of went through and tasted all of them. The cold is definitely really refreshing. I'm getting like some of that fruitiness and a very little bit of the umami, but I'm liking it more when I progress to the room temp because it's a little more kind of mushroomy, like a little bit more fungal, kind of more of those umami notes are coming out to me with this one. Super delicious. Even a little smokiness, a little bit more smokiness. And then the warm, I'd say it almost like exacerbates the umami for me, and the fruit is really toned down. So I think the room temp is a really nice happy medium, and it is tasting delicious with my truffle pop.
Yay! I'm so glad.
Thank you.
Yeah, really neat brewery. They've got a ton of personality that's always expressed in that they make. So yeah, I felt like it was a personality match too, because you've got a pretty personality-driven popcorn there too.
PC for the D.
PC for D, yes. In my household, PC for D. Popcorn for dinner, and it happens frequently, I'll admit.
Sorry. We have too many insights.
Yeah, we do. I mean, it's not a stretch. PC for D, that's not a stretch for folks. This is a snack show. What are we doing talking about dinner?
Yeah.
Apparently,
lots of snacks equal perfect dinner size.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, just fill up a dinner plate with snacks, and then you've got a meal.
Oh, it's amazing.
Healthy meal.
So amazing.
All right, who's next?
Alisha, can we talk about the pairing that you did for me?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I love Ruffles for obvious reasons. They're delicious and they're salted and crunchy. It's everything that I want. Fried potato, that's my heart. Then the beer that Alisha paired with it is this Catalyst from Oxbow.
Ooh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Right? So it's a barrel-aged farmhouse ale that also has a little honey in it. And I'm getting like the aroma of the honey on the nose, but then in the mouth, it's really floral and perfumed. It's super floral. And it's kind of toning down like the crunchy salty by giving it something to cling to.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and it's 0.5% alcohol, and I haven't been drinking, so I'm a little worried.
If you have a chip and then go back to the beer, it like they kind of like complement and change each other a little bit, but in a really, really cool way. That's a huge part of the reason I chose that pairing. I actually went through probably like 8 different beers, and I started my brain kind of on a, I was thinking that something sweeter would kind of balance out like the saltiness and the oiliness of chips.
Sure.
But it turns out this beer is actually pretty dry. But it's a beer de miel brewed with flower honey from Oxbow's property in Maine. And the honey in the beer the sugar all gets fermented out. So it's still a very dry beer, but you have a lot more body than you would in like a typical like farmhouse style or saison or whatever. But it's also not like a dark, big, bold beer. So it doesn't overpower the simplicity of just like potato and salt.
Well, I really, really like the texture of it because, you know, like when I have ruffles with like a lighter, thinner beer, it kind of strips your mouth. You know, so like it winds up being new again each time. But this time it's kind of like growing in flavor with the flavor of the beer and the flavor of the chip. And it's like, it's kind of like shockingly complimentary. It's really, really good pairing.
Heck yeah.
Nailed it.
I also noticed that like some of the other pairings that I did, I was like, oh yeah, like this is cool. It changes the flavors a little bit. But this one in particular, it really made me like want to go back for each item constantly. Like every sip that I took, I was like, oh, well now I want something salty. So I'd eat a chip, and then I'd be like, well now I'm thirsty and I want like a sip of beer. And it was not the pairing I was expecting. I actually expected to get a little bit more out of Scratch Blackberry Lavender, Scratch Brewing Brewery in Illinois. And which was also a really, really cool pairing, and I was kind of going back and forth between the two, but this one just took it home for me.
Oh man, that sounds so good.
I know. I love
It
incorporating food in the program now. It makes it really
yeah,
fun.
right?
You can sit
And you just
and talk and bullshit a little. It's great.
Yep, that's true. You just have snacks all day.
Well,
How's yours, Alisha?
Brian made me a cocktail. Thank you.
Just really strong one.
He even like pre-batched it for me and everything. It was great.
Yeah. That was kind of part of the cocktail itself. Yeah. That way you could have like 4 if you wanted. We all got like bottles of stuff.
Oh, trust me. Yeah, so I've had both of these bottle beverages. I've had both of these items before, but never in a cocktail together. And when he handed me the bottles, I was like, wait a minute, there's like, it's just these two and not like, I don't know, I guess I was expecting something to kind of dilute it a little bit. So I was worried it was going to be really boozy, but it's actually not at all. It's super well balanced. So this is J. Rieger Cafe Amaro, which is one of my favorite products that we can carry. It's like really, really herbal, and you get a ton of that coffee flavor that comes out of it. But this cocktail kind of like tones those things down and balances them out really nicely. And then the second is JM Rum. Brian will have to a little bit more.
Yeah, so that's their 3-year bottling. Rum JM is on the slopes of Mont Pelé. It's the northernmost distillery in Martinique, which is its own AOC. So when we talk about rum agricole from Martinique, it's as protected and as regulated as cognac or Burgundy, but even more so because there are a lot of stipulations in the cultivation and the harvesting of the sugarcane, as well as the fermentation and distillation process. So when you gave me peanut butter Oreos, I was pumped because I do kind of have a sweet tooth, but it's always like with something salty or bitter sweet. And when I tried the Oreos, I really loved the salinity. They were like kind of mouth-watering. They weren't just like overly sweet, the way a double cream, or double stuffed Oreo might be, something like that. Yep. So I started to think about what I like about chocolate and peanut butter, And so I tried to kind of create a riff on a cocktail that's a riff. It's a Manhattan variation, really. It was born into a black Manhattan, and then with the Cafe Amaro, it became something else.
What are
And
the various parts of the cocktail, like quantity-wise?
oh, so it's two measures of rum jam VO, 1 measure of that Cafe Amaro, which is it's an Amaro that's cut with a cold toddy in Kansas City by Jay Rieger. Really wonderful. If you ever want a coffee cordial that doesn't suck, like this is your option. They tend to be pretty one note and pretty sweet, and this one is just like, if you really love coffee, there's a complexity that really I think is unmatched in most coffee cordials. But like the cocktail with the peanut butter Oreo, I wanted it to start off like a really good maybe like mocha latte sort of feel, and then end up in just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich place. So I used black cherry juice to dilute it. Normally when you batch a spirit forward cocktail, you'd use about a 30-ish% dilution rate with water, and that basically mimics the time that it would be stirred and then strained over ice. But instead of water, I used black cherry juice, which kept a body and a richness, which I think gets you to that peanut butter jelly place.
Will you make all cocktails next week?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm into that. I'm into that.
Yeah,
I got nothing else to do.
This pairing is really fun. I feel like the cocktail kind of tones down the sweetness a little bit, so it makes you want to like keep going back to the cookie, and it brings sweetness a little bit, and it brings out a little bit more of the like herbal character that I really like in this in the J. Rieger Cafe Amaro. So because the cookie is kind of sweeter, it like almost brightens up the cocktail. So like it's a little more like mouth-watering and like just fresher, I guess.
Nice. Yeah. That's great.
Thank you.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
I'm experiencing that over here with my popcorn, just coming alive as I have more sake and vice versa. This is so cool. I especially love the temperature breakdown I have going on here. It's a really interesting way to be tasting the sake in so many different ways.
Oh, I'm so glad you're doing that, because I know it's a little bit of work, but I think it's a lot. Particular sake,
set up here.
it opens up with oxygen when it comes to it, so it turns into something totally different as it goes.
Totally, yeah. It's a little more muted. Although refreshing, it's a little more muted in the cooler expression.
Yeah.
But it's great to compare across all three.
Cool.
Sweet.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. Well,
I think Brian should make us cocktails every week.
yeah.
We can do that. We can do that next week if you want. I don't know how we can theme it out, but I'm happy to do that.
Well, let's discuss. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it. Beer specialist Alisha, spirit specialist Brian, sake specialist Katrina, and I'm Karen, the wine specialist. Thank you guys. If there's anything else you want to hear about, we're just gonna keep on doing this until things get back to normal. So thank you.
And maybe even after that.
Ooh.